ones. Sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It is fun to be a vampire. Welcome to the Scare Guy Show, everybody. A presentation of thescareguy.com, the spookier side of the con guy, where we celebrate everything that's scary fun from a filmmaker's perspective. And this week, we celebrate the classic 80s film that forever changed vampire movies, The Lost Boys from 1987. My name is Jim Fry, and we have two Lost Boys themselves helping me with hosting duties this week. The other guy, wait, yeah, let me show you my shirt. Look at that, that's awesome. All right, Cheeseman.
Are you wanting me to show my shirt from Monster Tees? Look at that.
Lost Boys. From Monster Tees, that's cool.
Pretty cool. Luke Cheeseman here with thescareguy.com and also screenwriter or expert, not really.
By the way, we have a really special guest with us this week. This is a friend of ours. Like you guys know, Luke and I are screenwriters, and this is Mr. Brian Venti. He is part of our screenwriting group. He's a screenwriter himself. Brian, why don't you give us 10 seconds? Tell us about yourself.
Hi there. I'm Brian. I'm a screenwriter and actor, as Jim said. I'm in their writing group. We have a screenwriting group based out of Los Angeles, and I'm a big fan of The Lost Boys. I saw it when I was in high school, and became one of my most favorite movies.
So he's talking about Lost Boys. Tonight, we are featuring the best moments from the Lost Boys panel from Midsummer Scream, and hopefully we're going to do some more stuff later on this year with some Lost Boys goodness. But this panel, it featured Billy Wirth. He was the vampire with the long hair, long black hair. They all had long hair. Jamison Newlander, Alan Frog, you remember. He's one of the Frog brothers. Tom Mack. This guy was kind of a surprise on the panel, which was kind of cool. He's the composer of that awesome score, including Cry Little Sister. And now that I've said it, I'm sure it's in everybody's head. It's going to be one of those earworms you can't get out. And then, of course, the main protagonist, the hero, Jason Patric, who I learned tonight. Brian made sure it's without a K. There's no K in Patrick. Jason Patric, who played Michael, the big brother, who got caught up in the vampire gang. Guys, tonight it's all about Lost Boys. I remember the very first time I saw Lost Boys. I was so stoked. Hey, Andy, good to see you, my friend. We didn't really get this. We kind of like did a undercover panel tonight, just dropping it. So it's kind of cool. Thanks for showing up. I remember I was of a certain age, but I saw Lost Boys in the theater 3 times that summer, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I loved it. And the reason Brian,
there, Jim, will that give us a clue?
What's that?
Did you drive there? Will that give us a clue?
I know we're going kind of late tonight. Wow, we're after 10. Yeah. But I know Luke, you love Lost Boys. Me and Luke, we've actually gone up to Santa Carla, seen the sights. Not Santa Carla, Santa Cruz, to see the Santa Carla sights, which was kind of cool. But then also Brian, we specifically asked Brian on the show tonight. For one thing, Brian's he's a great writer. He's got some really mad skills writing. He's a good actor. But Brian, you were telling me recently, by recently I mean like 3 days ago, because that Lost Boys is up there on it's up there on your list of some of your favorite films. Tell us about why Lost Boys is so important to you. Why do you love it so much?
I love The Lost Boys for many reasons. I love the 80s setting, just the punk kind of punk rock atmosphere and just I love the struggle, the story between the brothers. I love a good story about two brothers, and their bond is really special to me. And I have an older brother, so I related a lot to that storyline. And I think the music is really cool. And yeah, I love Kiefer Sutherland, love Jason Patric. Jason Patric, he completely underrated actor.
Yeah. Jason Patric? Oh no, I think he's super respected.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him do a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
He was
He
on
did.
Entourage as like the
Did.
main actor in a movie.
okay.
That
He
makes
has
you a big
Mark. That's phenomenal. Also very underrated. And
No, I agree with you, Brian. Like, I think Jason Patric should be doing more, and let's hope he does do more.
yeah, I
Because
mean, he's still working. He's still working.
What are you
And,
talking about? He was
yeah,
in
he's a
two.
great-
And for those of you who are watching this, I want you to know, and if you're listening, we're about to cut to the panel where we hear from all these actors from Lost Boys, where they are now talking about the film, and it's a lot of fun. It was a really fun panel. So we're about to cut there. We're just kind of priming the pump here, real quick. And Cheeseman, what about you, Lost Boys? Real quick, why do you like it?
Jake, who's on our show a lot, I went over to his house when I was probably like late elementary, or maybe I was probably early middle school. And then I think he was the one that introduced me to the movie. So I got to kind of see it when I was kind of around like the young teenage age. And it just was cool to kind of see something with, it's just like cool characters. The pacing's fun. Like it feels fun even when you're a kid. And then when you get older, where you're filmmakers, screenwriters like this, you see more of the art to it. And when you can look back at something that had that kind of like childlike fun when you saw the nostalgic thing, and then watch it as an adult, I'm like, wow, this still holds up. Or the cinematography was really good, which they talk about, in the making of, like they got the guy who did Raging Bull, the DP of that, did the movie. So, and then it's just a well done film, and I think it really stands the test of time. And it's something I watched it last night, and I go watch it again tonight, like kind of a thing.
And Brian, you happen to be, I do have to throw this in there. Andy, thank you. The writers, it looks like it's over. WGA, I mean, I don't think we should talk. Yeah, we can talk about it. We'll be voting on it real soon, but I think we've got our negotiators have done a great job for the WGA. Well done. Well done. All right. Brian, speaking of watching it, Brian, you're kind of watching the movie right now. It's on in front of you, isn't it?
I'm very lucky to be watching the movie right now. It's on silent, but I know almost every line of dialogue.
Brian's coming to us from the Tiki Freaks Lounge there, where that's where Cheeseman on the couch is usually there with the bar behind him, and you got the pumpkin back there. Anyways, let's not keep the folks waiting any longer. Let's go ahead and jump in to some of these great things. And this very first video clip we're going to show you, this is when the cast, and remember, and I'm going to remind you guys, you're going to be hearing the voices of Billy Wirth. He was the vampire with the long black hair. He was a model. He was discovered. You'll be hearing his voice. It's kind of funny because Billy Wirth lets on that he was, let's just say, medicating a lot during the filming of the film and doesn't remember a lot, but he's great about it. But he does remember the important stuff. So we'll be hearing him. Jamison Newlander, you'll be hearing his voice. Jason Patric, it's hard not to recognize his voice. And then some of you may not know G. Tom Mack. He's the composer of the songs in the film, or some of the score of the film. So we'll be hearing him. So, all right, without further ado, and hopefully I can figure out how to do this. The first clip, the question that they were asked is, when did you guys realize that you had something big on your hands? When did you guys realize that Lost Boys was something great?
But there was an energy, and like I remember being on the boardwalk on the motorcycles, the giant 10K lights, and all the locals coming out, and it was just like, it was the first real film I was in, big studio film, and it was just something special vibe. It was like, it's like being in front of a rock band in front of thousands of people. It just felt like electric, and it was just.
It's kind of hard. This is Billy Wirth talking.
There was something special about that, but I never even thought till the next day. So I don't know, at the time I was just happy to be there.
Billy is so right about the synergy and the energy about this film, because I was not obviously on set. I was in New York.
This is G. Tom Mack.
Joe Schumacher rang me and said we knew each other a little bit. He said we have to work together at some point. So he rang me up to write a theme song for this movie, and I said, yeah, well, can I take a look at it? He said, well, we're still shooting, but what if I sent you a script? And he did. I got the script. I read it. I remember at night time, I was in my bed reading. I said, couldn't put it down. I just read the whole thing one night, and then The next day I got up to my piano in my flat and then just started to muck around with it and started coming up with a vibe and started to write the song, went to my studio. By the time I got to the studio, wrote the chorus, came up with this rather humorous idea about the commandments to be part of the whole thing. It worked out, but the thing that was going, I sent the demo to Joel, and he rang me one morning. I'll never forget, I had a hangover. I heard my answer machine, "Are you there?" And it was two guys. It was Joel and it was Kiefer, just yelling in my, "Pick up!" And so I got on the phone and I said, "What's going on?" He said, and Joel's first thing he said to me is, "How did you know?" And I said, "Know what?" He said, "This demo it's unbelievable. I'm playing it on set, and it's just, this song is going to be everywhere." And I said, and I said, everywhere. And it was just one of those moments, and he was telling me about how well the film was going, and how it is that it's magical and everything, to Billy's point. And it was synchronicity at its best. They approved me going in and doing it, and then, yeah, it was just that I didn't really meet any of these guys till later, because I was in New York, and I couldn't even make the premiere because I was working with Roger Daltrey at the time. So anyway, that's my parlay into you.
I would think that would have been like really cool for Joel, like who all this stuff was going cool on the movie already, and then he hears that song, and it totally like speaks it. I would think I wasn't there for that, but I think that would be really cool. So that's cool.
You have a story though, don't you? Don't you have your
story?
Yeah, come on.
That was a segue into my story. So the time for me was when I it's like I was like, oh, I was in this movie. My friends in high school, I was like, yeah, I was in this movie, and everyone was like, yeah, totally, that's great. But then one time we went to the movies, and there was a preview in front, and it was just like, I mean, it wasn't real until that point, and watching the preview, and just I remember the lights of the boardwalk, and just being like, they were like, the announcer's voice came on, and it just gave me chills, and that's really the moment when I realized that it was going to be cool. I mean, I knew it was going to be cool. Cool. Yeah, cool.
You don't know how something's going to last, like that, or something that becomes classic, nearly 40 years later. But what you did know we're doing is that we're doing things that no one had done yet. No one had that kind of makeup that accentuated your features, as opposed to wearing, the very gothic, old school type stuff. No one had done sort of young vampires. No one had done the idea of sexy vampires. No one at that point had put music into a movie that way for this. No one had mixed the comedy horror to that level. So you knew you were doing something that hadn't been done yet. And of course, all the effects, there's no CGI back then, so all that stuff's real. So you had to come up with ways to make that stuff happen. So you knew you were doing something that hadn't been done, and if you could put it together, you figured maybe it was something special. And the idea that it dealt with family, and it became this sort of, coming of age movie. And that's why I think it affects people when they pass it down to their kids and it goes on and on. So there's a classic sense to something that was uniquely made and hadn't been done before. And then came Twilight.
So, and some of the sound I think is coming across a little bit difficult. It sounded. Okay.
I think that's when we're in the back of the room, so I think some of the clips will be a little more closer up, so it might have been a little further sounding because we're in the back.
But it was interesting to hear him talk about when did they realize that it was a big deal and why was it such a big deal. And it was, Brian, did you hear what Jason was saying there at the end? Like, this hadn't been done before, like what movies were done before this that had like sexy vampires, the music, and vampires on motorcycles,
Wait, you didn't think Nosferatu was sexy?
I loved it. Wait a second. You guys keep talking. I got to answer this phone real quick.
There was a movie that came out the same exact year called Near Dark. It was Catherine Bigelow. And I don't know which one came out first, but that one was pretty sexy. but I think this one was definitely more popular.
Wait, what movie with Catherine Bigelow? What are you talking about?
Near Dark. It's like a vampire western.
Oh, yeah.
Movie.
That was cool. That was a good movie, yeah. But I just thought it was super
Fact
cool.
check.
Bill Paxton.
What do you?
1987.
Same year.
Oh, nice. Well, and he did make a little swipe at a certain movie where vampires, they sparkle. All right, this next clip was kind of cool. So, and Brian, you and I talked about this, and Luke, you did well. This is where Jason talks about. This is where the cast talks about Jason. He turned down the role, which is kind of cool. So,
Or was it cool?
Was it cool? Anyways, here we go.
You know, and Jason, on the other hand, is a real thespian, and he helped make this film better. And like to answer the first question that he answered, he was talking about, you know, he knew, you know, and I think he worked on developing the part, and he turned it down a few times. But these
That's
guys,
Billy.
I mean, are all top actors. And, you know, I learned later of you know, started to watch film and look at it from an actor's sort of point of view, and really, this movie made me want to be an actor. I sort of was just in college, got out of college, and then did some modeling work, and then fell into acting, and got to work with these incredible legends. But at the time, I had no idea about it. But Jason, I know, did, and he came. You know, he was very discerning in his career, and I know you turned this film down in the beginning because it wasn't at the level that he knew it had to become to be a potential to hit, you know, to strike lightning and all. But that's true, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
But I mean, to go, yes, I did turn it down a bunch of times because, again, you look at this movie now 40 years later, you guys see all this, but that hadn't been done before. So the idea of flying around with teeth and all that kind of stuff was not interesting to me whatsoever. And what the makeup would be and all the other stuff, so it's not what I wanted to do. And frankly, the script really wasn't great either. The great thing about Joel is Joel picked all these people, and he was very respectful for a 19-year-old to be able to write your own dialogue or talk about scenes and things like that. And also, by the way, Diane and Ed were never looked down on any of the kids in this movie. Not once. It was you could have been their age. They're respectful. But Joel, I mean, look, a little round of applause for Joel Schumacher. This is all about Joel creating all these people. I mean, you don't have teen vampire movies shot by the cinematographer who did Raging Bull. Or Taxi Driver. We did. You know, Michael Chapman. We had all the reason the movie stands up today and doesn't look dated or weird. They were the top people. You know, so all these things Joel saw, and it really wasn't on the script. But he let us all bring ourselves to it. And I spent a lot of time with Corey. I mean, almost every scene I'm in there with them is just improvised or written dialogue that we worked on that wasn't in the script. So, you know, that's a testament to Joel, and things were being created as we went along. That's what happened.
So we are wrapping.
Very cool. Real quick, Brad Everett Young. What's this? No write, no call, no tweet. How are peeps supposed to know you're on here yammering? This is a surprise podcast. Yeah, this one was kind of a surprise one that we pulled together because we had Benevente with us, and he's a big fan. We wanted to make sure we got him on with us for this thing. All right. So, the next one, I have a question. Be thinking about it, guys. This next clip, each of them talk about their favorite scenes. I want you guys to think what your favorite scenes are and tell us why. And here we go. This is when they tell us their favorite scenes. And you.
What was your favorite scene?
Well, we know Billy's, don't we?
Boardwalk, after eating the worms.
The worms.
No, the boardwalk with the motorcycles for me, you know. Yeah. Jason.
I mean, that was literally the first or second day of the whole thing, wasn't it? Well, why am I asking you? Yeah, it was the last day. you know, the fun things were that we're all young. Again, we're just a bunch of young kids, and just even in between, right? I mean, we had a foosball table set up in a sort of dark area with a work light. Do you remember that thing? Billy was my partner for 4 months, but it's okay. But you know, we had fun. We had fun. It was good.
Jason's great at foosball, by the way.
The cave was fun, and on the water lot. The feeding scene when we were at the beach, that was shot on the sound stage too. That was a blast. You know, with the rock and roll, Walk This Way. You know, I mean, it just one after another. It just was an incredible time, and you know, just an incredible movie to be part of at the time, and it was all downhill after that. No, actually, it wasn't. I'm grateful to have had the career I've had, but we did start out with a bang. I mean, it's amazing.
How beautiful were those guys? I'm a pretty grown man, I'm heterosexual, but I said, man, you crossed the line. No, but I mean, it's Joel Schumacher said to me at one point, he said, and Joel's gay, and he said, what do you think of the look? And I'm saying, the look is fantastic. I mean, these guys really, these are all eyes focused on the look and the movement. He said, you know something, Gene? You have more lines in the movie than they do. And I'm going, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, your song has more lines. They don't talk much. And I went, oh, yeah. I didn't even notice. I thought they did have lines.
Presence is just so strong.
Whoops. All right. Benevente, let's start with you. Favorite scene from the film and why?
I would say I have 3. Do you want me to narrow it down, or can I say all 3?
No, you can share them.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the bridge scene with the train going over is a favorite. Just the surrealness of the scene with just you don't know that they're vampires yet. I think that's the first one of the first hints that they're vampires, and then it becomes a dream, and then Michael wakes up, and it's like, was that real? Was it? That's such a, I love that surrealness, and then just the way they take you into what he's feeling with, you see the bridge shaking with the train going, and they're hanging from the bridge on below. And second favorite scene, I would say just it's a tie between that first scene when we see the brothers, and then they have the Doors song "People Are Strange" playing when they first enter Santa Carla. That's a favorite, and then probably the showdown at the end in the house when Michael and David are facing off. That's a cool scene. And then anytime the grandpa is on camera, I love him. Yeah, he cracks me up.
Cheeseman, cheese on the couch.
A quick question for Brian, though. Like, would you do the hang off the bridge thing? You did take niacin to Jim's suggestion, which turned you completely red. Now, out of peer pressure, would you ever do the hang from the bridge thing?
Only if I were a vampire.
Can we please stop? For those of you who don't know, niacin is a health food supplement you find at GNC health food stores. It helps your blood flow better. It helps to get fats out of your blood. Doctors,
but it turns your friends into tomatoes.
But it could give you a hot flash, a hot flush, and turn you as red as the walls behind me. And it did, Brian, and it was awesome. Cheeseman.
Yeah, there's just so many scenes. Like, I mean, I'm just going to talk kind of general terms. Like, I love like the POV type shots that are used, like how they limit the use of kind of like the vampires, like when they're like killing and like all that. It did a very kind of Hitchcock and kind of John Carpenter way of kind of limiting the gore to kind of. Did you need to say something?
No, Brad says he takes niacin every single day before the sauna. Sounds dangerous.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so just like the cinematography, the death scenes were really cool. But again, like I love the bridge scene. The whole kind of, we've all kind of like had that kind of peer pressure level in our life of like wanting to be part of the cool kids, and then him becoming kind of part of that, right? That whole kind of scene to scene kind of like segments, like how they put that together, just really was cool, and kind of like waking up. And I love the stuff with the brother once he becomes the vampire, like them fighting, him floating, and like when they call the mom, and then the mom like rushes home and everything. Like, those scenes between the brothers are fun when they're when he's like afraid of his older brother. I think that works really well. And then the scene where they, with Max, where they bring him into the house and they think he's, the head vampire and do the test on him. I think that's a really fun and funny scene. And
anytime the Frog Brothers are on screen, anytime.
Yeah. But of course, I mean, the showdown at the end leading from the cave to the house, it gives you that whole kind of like Home Alone, but more gory kind of thing of how they made this whole plan to kind of, take out the vampires using squirt guns with holy water.
I love the holy water scene when they go to the church.
Yeah, and I would have to say, one of probably one of my favorite lines is the death by stereo. Once he shoots the vampire, goes through, explodes, and the stereo just electrocutes him and all that. So,
all right, and we're gonna move on to perhaps one of my favorite. I agree with Brian as well. Like, one of my favorite scenes is definitely when they first show up in Santa Cruz. I love the feeling of that beach town, the weirdness, the strangeness. But we are all drinking wine specifically to honor a certain scene that they talk about here next. So one of my favorite scenes, the scene with the maggots, my friend. So let's hear what the actors thought about the maggot scene. Here we go, and go.
That scene, how did that affect your view of just like rice and like noodles in general? Because that was when I was a kid.
I never ate maggots again. That rice ruined maggots for me. I just couldn't do it. No, obviously they put that stuff in afterwards. I mean, it was just rice and all that. There might have been worms, actually. I might have had some worms in there. But again, that's one of the things that you remember, or people remember, or even when we're here, they ask us to sign things like that. So they're just unique, subtle little things. Because now you go to see a movie, and if it's a vampire movie, you're bored unless someone's head explodes, but those little subtle things that build up with the characters and the acting, those little bits of tension, those are memorable. So I'm glad you don't eat Chinese.
Anyone else affected by the no? Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I wasn't affected by it, but I was just, that scene actually, and I've never said this before, but Brooke and I had gotten stoned. And I was sitting there, and I was like just holding on, because I was just barely made it through that scene. They're talking about noodles and rice, and I have no idea what they're talking about. It was literally just, I was, yeah. I don't think I had a line, and I'm glad I did it. Yes, I didn't really even understand it until I saw it later, what they were talking about.
And when you watch that again, Billy's got the greatest smile on his face. That's all you're seeing. It's awesome. I thought that was a choice. I didn't know that. It's awesome.
We're gonna hear more of Billy Wirth's inability to remember where they're at, what's going on.
We just surprised he didn't eat all the rice if he was.
Jonathan Wilkinson, hello. Call me, not right now. Call me, man. We got to talk. All right. So, I just got to ask you guys. After you saw that scene, did you look at Chinese food differently?
For 6 months after I saw that, yes.
All right.
Well, I already ate maggots before it, so it really didn't faze me.
What? What are you talking about?
I'm kidding.
All right. We're going to look at what Brian's wearing right now. Brian, big. You're wearing a jacket, a t-shirt reminiscent of what Michael was wearing. This next clip they talk just briefly about the style of the film and how it affected styles of the day. So let me see. The look of the film.
I mean, as if they were speaking, you know what I mean?
Joel was, I guess he was a fashion window dresser back in the day. And yeah, he would design the windows on Fifth Avenue and all that. It was a real sense of style. And he hired Susan Becker as a costume designer and gave her a budget and said, go to town. And we went down Melrose Avenue and sort of picked out our own clothes, you know, in a lot of ways. We had some input in that. And yeah, the visual style of this film is, you know, I've heard stories from, like, you know, Trent Reznor copping our look in some ways. Different rock and rollers, sort of, you know, an inspiration to a lot of the style going on back in the day.
We have one right up here.
I see Luke's kind of he's in the hot box in there right now. So this next clip is, let me see, I got them all listed here. So wait, real quick. What was like? I remember that the film did have such a cool vibe to it as far as the look and the style. Even to this day, you can watch it, and it has some of the looks in the film are just odd, and they still are odd, but they stand out. Like, for example, Cheeseman, what's one of the looks in the film that you think is a standout look, but might be odd?
That might be odd.
And he's holding a saxophone.
Oh, like the shirtless guy with the sax.
That was one of the weirdest things. Like, even in the 80s,
I mean,
like
that's your favorite scene, not my favorite scene.
No, it's just so distinctive. Like, I am a kid from the 80s. I don't remember that being a style in the 80s. Is all
Apparently that was Tina Turner's sax man.
Was it?
Yeah, he played for Tina Turner.
I didn't know that. Luke, doesn't he still? He was featured on what song? A recent song.
Yeah, he still does stuff with Gunship. You know, like they do a lot of kind of retro 80s electronic kind of music, and then he'll do guest appearances on there.
Timmy Capello, I think is his name.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, guys. This is Jason Patric talking about the wire work that went into the film.
You had to have a whole different sort of riggings of wires, and they were tricky because we're fighting with your arms, and these wires are coming from your hips. So sometimes, when it's moving really fast, you know, it can cut your finger, or you know, it can cut through your arm. So there were all these different things. Sometimes they had us on a big lazy Susan, where they'd be spinning, and then you cut to these other things, and then they'd have us crash together. And then sometimes they did old-fashioned matte painting that they would put us back in. That's where they paint like a piece of glass and film through that. But it took a long time. And then, you know, towards the end, we push him and all that other kind of stuff. So.
Well, how did David die though?
I killed him. He's trying to take my girl, then he comes into my house. I killed him. There he is.
That was a great question. That's funny.
All right. So for those of you who may not have heard the little boy who asked the questions, so Jason Patric was talking about doing the wire work and how they had to fly around, and that's how the vampires fought. And the little kid goes, "Well, what happened to David?" And Jason Patric goes, "I killed him." And that poor little boy was like, "Oh, it was kind of cool." That was kind of cool. Yeah,
I guess he wasn't allowed to see the end of the movie. Poor kid.
Oh yes, and and Brian, this film's older than you are, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't need to talk about how old we are, but like
he was conceived during the making of this film.
No, but like back in the day, this was all practical effects. There was no CGI. This was like very.
That's why it still holds up. It still looks really good.
Yeah, it does. All right. I want to know what you guys think about this next one because we've been talking about it a little bit. This next one is the question of where's the bridge? Billy Wirth gives the best answer, and then you'll hear Mr. Jamison talks about a cool YouTube series that he's got going on about the location. So this next clip is basically about the filming locations and how people can see them today. So, and go.
And two, was there a real train involved, and how did you guys actually film that with the follow?
They tell me it was filmed in Santa Clarita. I don't remember that. I do remember that it was really intense, and we had cables that came up through my jacket, and so when we were hanging, we were secure through the harness cable type scenario. And you know, when the train was supposedly coming, they wanted us to shake, so we shook, and then, you know, when we jumped off the tracks to get underneath the train, you know, we were jumping onto like a big forklift type thing with a big pad on it, you know, a big flatbed thing. But everything was pretty cool. You know, the fall was done in the studio at Warner Brothers through the, you know, the stuntmen dropped into these massive boxes that were stood up. It was pretty cool to watch them do that. But I guess we were in Santa Clarita. I found that out today. I thought we were up in Santa Cruz.
Is that another episode of your book getting high?
It's just 35 years ago.
It's just it's another town. Does it really matter, Santa Clarita, Santa Cruz? It's, you know.
Well, yeah, and also in all fairness, I mean, on a movie set, there's so many things to think about, and you're thinking about your character and stuff, so they just take you places.
You just show up where you're supposed to show up.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, we're taking you here, cool.
Awesome, yeah.
The most wonderful thing for me in writing the song Prodigal Sister is that I got to really pay attention to the characters. And what I did find out, what I was finding as I was reading, this is so, I love when horror and humor meet in the middle.
This is G. Tom Mack, the composer.
But what I started to dig deep into, I thought the character that Kiefer plays, David, just felt like, you know, he came off like a James Dean, you know, tough guy, a rebel without a cause kind of thing. But I felt he'd be very lonely and just, you know, besides the dog, just had this very, you know, where did he come from kind of vibe, you know? And then as the characters just sort of, the second read of this script, and mind you, I never saw film footage. I wrote the first time ever, I'd probably done about 12 movies that I've written songs in made songs in at that point. But I read this, and I don't think I would have written Prodigal Sister had I seen the film first, you know, because they were filming still. So, but I thought that this script had such a real depth about, we don't always have our own families, but we find our families outside of the blood family, you know, no pun intended. But it's sort of, but it really had, you know, and the whole thing with Michael and Corey's character, Sam, you know, they came, older brother, younger brother thing, and single mom, all of that just sort of came into, you know, they were searching for something, you know, and yeah, you could call it a vampire movie, which it is, but there was an incredible sense of, we found our family here, you know? So.
How did we get there from Santa Clarita?
Is that the candy?
You got to try my part.
I did actually,
This is
not
Jamison.
to shamelessly plug my things, but I'm doing a YouTube series that I just started where I'm going up to Santa Cruz and like looking at the locations and things like that, and you know, so we posted one of them already, you know, it has like Grandpa's house and stuff like that, and then I have a producer who knows all about this stuff, and he said that, yeah, it's in Santa Clarita. So that's what I know about it being in Santa Clarita. And we're gonna try and bring Billy and, I don't know, maybe Jason will be up for it.
No way.
Yeah.
There is a bridge up in,
Yeah, there is a bridge. And we're gonna see if we can get you
but in Santa Cruz there is a bridge.
There is a bridge, and I actually hung from
A
that
lot of
one.
people think is the
Yeah,
bridge.
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause I saw the T-shirt.
You
It's
hung
not
from
the
the
bridge.
one in Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
It's like an actual functioning train though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. The other one, I don't think it is.
No, it isn't anymore?
Yeah, there were a couple of
Living
ones
on
that
the
people
edge.
thought it was.
Yeah.
I like to live on the edge.
Yeah, it's a good place to live. Yeah.
I saw you laugh from Benevente. What were you laughing about?
Yeah, what's so funny, Benevente?
I think Jason Patric's reaction was just funny. Just the, no,
I did too.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, Jamison.
I don't know if he was like half serious. Like I feel like maybe he wouldn't actually like
Yeah,
some movie I did forever. I don't want to go rehash the past.
yeah. I don't know if he's Like I know he's close with Kiefer Sutherland. They're still close friends, but
Mhm.
I don't know if he hangs out with the other cast members.
But how
I
does he feel
think
about the
Kiefer
film?
could pressure him to come. He'd be
Yeah.
like, Michael.
Like, I
That's
was actually
so sweet.
surprised to see him here because I had heard that he, for a bit, tried to distance himself from this, you know, because he's a very serious thespian. He's a very serious actor. Is that true?
I think I did hear, yeah, he didn't think this movie was like the direction, or it wasn't the type of movie he wanted to do at the time, but it sounds like he's recently embraced it. So it's cool to see him be part of this.
I remember seeing him doing an interview again back when the movie first came out. I saw it was either Good Morning America or the Today Show, one of those morning shows where they came on and he and Jamie, what's her last name? Jamie Gertz were on there talking about Michael Landon. Now, Michael Landon's a classic actor. He was in Little House on the Prairie, Highway to Heaven? Yeah, these movies.
Brian, have you heard of Michael Landon before?
Is he the dad on Little House?
Yeah, he's the dad. Yeah. He's the dad. But he got his big start in a movie called I Was a Teenage Werewolf back, you know. And so they were comparing his movie back then, which launched an incredible career, to Jason Patric and Jamie Gertz at the time. And it was kind of a compliment. It was kind of cool. But I don't know. I honestly think that Lost Boys has stood the test of time, and it's a movie that it doesn't just launch a career. It's a movie. It's a career-making movie for some people, you know. All right. So just following up a little bit on that last thing about the locations in Santa Cruz, the cast, the panelists were asked, when was the last time you visited Santa Cruz?
When was the last time any of you have visited Santa Cruz since filming?
3 weeks ago. We shot another one of these things up there.
I performed there about 7 years ago there was probably about 6,000 people on the beach here. They do this thing every year. Probably a lot of you know that. And it was freezing fucking cold. I got up with my, just did it so, unplugged, not well plugged, but, with my acoustic guitar. And it was such a great feeling. I came on before the movie did, and they showed the movie, and it was really a vibe, as cold as it was. It's just the embracement of just singing that song acoustically live. And they had all the speakers set up around, so it was kind of a surround sound thing, which was kind of cool as well. So 7 years ago, what am I talking about?
Nicole, just to say one more thing, the town, I don't know if you guys have been, the water's like kind of too cold to swim, and so I realized when I was there that I don't think it's really a swimming beach town, that it's more of a surfing town. That was the kind of realization I made for the record.
Does anybody surf?
I
surf?
don't. Boogie board.
Boogie board?
It's kind of cool. Brian, Benavente, have you been up there?
No, I've always wanted to go ever since I saw this movie, though. We should go.
Jeez, how many times have you gone? We went with Griswold, right?
Just once.
And I went with my buddy Greg one time, and there's certain parts of the movie, certain scenes of the movie that I saw the first time I went that they're no longer there. Like, remember the scene towards the beginning? You see the bowling alley with the whale's head sticking out the side. I think that whale's head is missing now. But the cable cars. I mean not cable cars, the chairs. No, not the Ferris wheel. All the amusement park's still there. The Skyway, the thing that you're up in the cables and you're in the chairs, that's still there, and they still have those weird oversized characters sitting in the chairs that are going along. The merry-go-round is still exactly where it was. The amusement park is exactly the same almost. It's identical, and it's really cool. Santa Cruz is almost like a beach that time forgot. It's cool, it's out of the way, and it's a hippie kingdom, that's for sure. It's pretty cool. All right. I think you guys will like this one. Billy, now you'll notice that Billy Wirth, he keeps on talking about he was baked during the filming and he doesn't remember a lot, but here's a cool story that he remembers about somebody was asking him, were there any kind of mistakes, mishaps, or accidents or crazy things that happened on set? And this was his answer right here.
especially with your stunt coordinator, Gary Davis, who told us the story about Kiefer wiping out on one of those motorcycles because he's trying to impress one of the extras. And I was just wondering, were there any other mishaps or blunders on set that we don't know about, that you're comfortable sharing?
I mean, you know,
Corey Feldman. I mean, just Corey Feldman.
There's not a mishap. I mean, Gary Davis was amazing. I mean, we got to train with him for about a week or so before, you know, we went up there, and that was a lot of fun. And he told us the story. This is separate, but he used to double for Evil. And when Evil would come out and say hi to the crowd, drive back in behind the thing, you know, out of sight, and then Gary would come out on his Harley with the helmet on and fly the bike and crash the bike, and then lay on the ground and carry him off, and then Evil would come back. You know, at the end of Evil's career, when he couldn't do it anymore. But you know, one funny story. I mean, Brooke was cast originally as Kiefer's role of David, and then they asked Brooke to, you know, when Kiefer became available and Joel realized that Kiefer's the guy, and they asked Brooke, would you mind, you know, we'll pay you, or you can be a Lost Boy, you know, and Brooke, thank God, he said, yeah, I'll take the role of, what's his character name? Paul, yeah, I'll take the role of Paul. Yeah, come on. So he takes the role of Paul, but Kiefer, I mean, Brooke is a tough guy, and, you know, Kiefer was maybe a year or two younger than us, maybe more. And on set, I remember, you know, one time, I don't know if you were around for this, Jason, this is not a mishap or anything, but Kiefer was just sort of showing his male dominance, you know, with a torch, trying to just, for some reason, did you know this? And he started coming up to Brooke, and it's like, what are you doing? And he's walking towards Brooke with the kerosene fire, just like, I don't know what's going on. And Brooke took a step back, did a roundhouse kicked the kerosene fire out of him, and it caught down in his arm, and then the guys put it out. But that was just some little, you know, I don't know. It was just, Brooke wasn't backing down, and Kiefer was trying to dominate a little bit, but then, you know, everything was cool after that.
Wanted to say one thing that I think I've never really said at a convention about the choir.
He goes on to talk about something different, but I just thought it was really cool to hear about like what the alpha males all doing they're trying to prove dominance on the set. Lily, so good to see you. This is all, I know this is awesome. I love the Lost Boys so much, and I see that you have logged, and I know it's super late for everybody. And Andy is still on. He says he has been to Santa Cruz a bunch of times, and they have a really good arcade there. Oh, they absolutely do. So, like Benavente and Luke, you guys have both been on set. You guys are kind of you both been on sets with actors and stuff. What's it like when you're on like one of these sets with like dangerous actors or someone trying to prove their dominance? You know.
Have you seen that, Benavente?
I mean, I've worked with very kind actors. I mean, yeah, I worked with Rebel Wilson. She's very nice. But I mean, I guess in my acting class, yeah, there's a lot of male bravado. There's just people trying to prove themselves and just imitate. You know, we got a guy who's in my class. He's like trying to be the new James Dean or Brad Pitt, and just. Yeah, I mean, that's everywhere. So. Wait.
So, Brian, what you're saying is you don't notice it happening on set. Maybe you're the guy.
Maybe I'm the guy.
Sorry, I don't mean that. Brian and Luke have both corrected me. Stop screaming into the microphone. I will stop doing that.
Well, it's mainly like during, like, we're playing these clips that are kind of quiet, and they're like, this is Patric. This is Jason.
So we only have 3 clips left, and thank you guys for.
Guess the wine's kicking in.
Brian's like, don't hold back, Brian. talk that. Yeah.
I think Brad could tell us more stories. I've heard more stories from Brad than any of us.
Hey, Brad, if you have a chance, without getting in trouble, one of the most bravado, big douchebag moments on set, if you can tell the name, do it. But if I don't want to do that. Let's not do that. Anyways, all right. So we have 3 clips left, and we're finally.
He's only worked with nice people. Now I've had some like a-hole
tell us.
Yeah.
Brad's like, y'all want to get canceled? No.
I've been yelled at more by like assistant directors or people. Like I was working on one shoot and they were like, it was a big group of people, and then like he was just like, I said cut. Blah, blah, blah. It was just like going crazy because like we're doing this big beach scene and it's like a concert, and they said cut, but we couldn't hear it, and then he just went ape on it. Like I've been around more the higher level people that didn't seem very nice.
Yeah.
But
I would love to know what it was like. Like, look, you're talking about a beach scene. This beach scene in The Lost Boys, that giant scene with the band shell, and it looked like. And this is back before they could use CGI, AI to duplicate actors and put thousands of actors on the beach. It looked like they had probably
that scene would be very easy to know when to cut, because it'd be like, don't stop having fun until the saxophone stops. Then that's when you cut.
All right.
That's
or when he puts a shirt on. One of the two.
Yeah. We have 3 clips left, and perhaps and one of them features Mr. Luke Cheeseman, the scare guy, getting up and asking a question. But our final clips, we kind of go into talking, of course, about so we lost him too soon, Corey. So this first clip is about Diane Weist and her acting with Corey. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to hear this. So this is all about Diane and Corey.
I had a really cool moment with watching Diane and Corey Haim rehearse the scene where, where he's like, I'm not talking about Max. That's it. That's my favorite line.
It's like De Niro in Lost Boys.
So, and I just watched them rehearse it. They just ran it over and over again. And watching the dynamic between them and watching it build, and how she was with him, how maternal she was with him, while also being a fellow professional. She respected him as a fellow actor, And so that was just a really beautiful thing that I got to see. And I think kind of encapsulated what the older actors on the shoot were. These guys were amazing actors that had done so many things, a lot of things we'd seen them in, and it was that grounding and having that expertise there. And they were all so beautifully nurturing too. So
when I was writing, after they approved the song and everything, when I approved it.
But not like what G. Tom has to say isn't important, but he changed the subject a little bit. It was cool to hear that Diane Weist and Corey Haim, they had a respect for each other, and because he was only, do you know how old he was, Brian, on set? He was like 12 or 14-ish, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he was super young. And it was cool to hear how they respected each other and how, and because that's kind of difficult. Like, she's a very respected actress. Like, she had done, remember when she did Footloose and she was the mom in Footloose? I thought that she was so great. And was she in Hannah and Her Sisters? Wait, I'm not really remembering that one. I got to go back and check myself, but I love Diane Weist. I just love her so much. All right.
And you're talking about the mom, correct?
Oh yeah, the mom. So sorry. For those of you who are listening,
they were saying in the Lost Boys retrospective that I think she had won an Academy Award, and she was like a very well respected actress, and they did have a lot of like high level people kind of join on this project, including the crew and stuff. So there's that perfect balance between kind of realism and them developing their own dialogue, like they said, where it's kind of like beginning level of young actors into the pros, but it seemed like they all had a mutual respect for each other, which really kind of added that realness and professional look, all kind of molding together.
Yep. She had done Hannah and Her Sisters, won an Academy Award the year before Lost Boys. She was in Edward Scissorhands, but that was afterwards. The Birdcage.
Say that 3 times, Jim. I
know, Edward Scissorhands, and then Bullets Over Broadway, plus many other things. Yeah, I absolutely love her. I adore Diane Weiss. She's amazing. All right. So this next clip, and we only have 2 more. This is our own Cheeseman on the couch, Luke Cheeseman, asking about working with the Coreys. So this is what they had to say.
Spoiled my question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So here's the question.
Hi, Luke Cheeseman with the Stare Guy. What was it like working with the Coreys?
It was great.
You remember during the movie, right?
No, Corey's, the 2 Coreys are amazing, and we miss Corey Haim, and to go back a few questions, for me, when I realized what this film, other than, the fan mail that we used to get back in the day before the internet, but when we first did our first con in Milton Keynes, it was just, to meet you guys and come to these events and to really get the time one-on-one, meet and greet and talk, that's when you realize for me, what this film has done, and it's amazing, and it's just, but for Corey, I just remember Corey up in Milton Keynes, it's just such a loving soul, and I wore this oil that he always would love, just because he liked the smell of it, and he'd come smelling me, but Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, there's 2 of them back in the day, they were quite the duo, but yeah, we miss Corey, and Brooke.
Corey Haim came up to me at my house one time, Billy was over, and he said, "Have you smelled Billy?" I swear to God. And I thought that was a rather odd question.
Have you smelled Billy? Did you smell him? What's the smell?
He said,
Oil called like mashmua or something. So
what does it describe it?
What's that?
What does it smell like?
Yeah,
Can I smell it?
So Billy's walking over to the host.
It's like a patchouli, sandalwood. Wait, hold on.
Smelling. Good.
But I laughed so hard because I said to myself, well, maybe I should go over and smell Billy at my house, right? I kind of just, we didn't know each other that well at that point.
Yeah. I actually only really put it on when I come to these events, just thinking about Corey, because, so I wore it today. Yeah.
It smells really nice.
He was a sweet soul. So besides he was an enormous talent, not only had the ability to act, I saw him for the first time in a film called Lucas, which I remember I was living in New York and that came on and I went like, who is this kid? And I was just blown away. And then fast forward. But he had a great sense of humor, and he had a great voice too, singing. He had that thing, he had that triple ready kind of thing going on. Yeah, lovely guy, lovely soul.
I don't want to leave Corey Feldman out of this. I got to be there. One of the nice things about what I got to do was that the Coreys weren't the Coreys, before Lost Boys. And that summer, as they were becoming the Coreys, I was just right there with them, and we were hanging out as friends. We were riding our bikes to the beach when we weren't on set, and just hanging out, having a great time. We had our first girlfriends that summer, or at least Feldman and I had our first girlfriends. So it was really magical, and both Coreys are just really, I really love them. They're like, Corey Feldman, I see him a bunch, and I know he's nutty, and some of the stuff he says and does and stuff, but he's such a sweetheart. To me, he has always been such a sweetheart, and I see him a bunch, and I'd like to think I'd be seeing him a bunch as well. And it's just sad he's not with us this year. So.
I love that. I love, by the way, Andy did let us know that the moderator's name, that's Leanne Vamp. She specializes in these types of podcasts.
And she mostly goes by Vamp on her
Yeah.
like socials and other stuff.
So,
She
Benevente, what's that?
Is she a vampire?
Yeah.
She
Benevente,
is.
what struck you about what they just said about the Coreys?
I mean, what really struck me, and maybe one of the biggest regrets I have about the day, is I did not try to smell his cologne when I met him after, and I did not even think about doing that. So, I mean, I missed out. I could have done it. He was right there, and I didn't smell him.
Benevente, did you have any thoughts on what they just shared about Corey Haim?
Yeah, I wanted to hear Jason Patric talk about Corey Haim because they played brothers, but he was a great talent. And I'm glad G. Tom Mack mentioned the movie Lucas that came out. I think that was 1985, but it was a good, good early role for him. He seemed like it was cool to hear them say he's just seemed like a kind soul. It was very nice.
Let's cheers. Take a drink to Corey Haim.
Do we become vampires now?
I hope so. Jonathan Wilkinson.
Guy. I want to see the same thing with Scare Guy.
All right, we have one last clip. And before we do the clip, though,
this is Jim morphing into a vampire. His eyes turn yellow.
So the one thing, look, don't prompt me to rate. So I go away. Okay. So from the cast of The Lost Boys, we have lost Corey Haim. We've lost Edward Herman, who played Max. We have lost Brooke McCarter, who played Paul. And I think we lost Grandpa, didn't we? Yeah, Bernard Hughes. Who played
there's no way he's.
Yeah,
so I'm playing dead because he plays dead in the movie. He could be playing dead.
He could be.
Yeah. So I'm just. It's a what a great film, and it's very sad to know that it's one of those films. It's 30. I think it's like 36 years old.
It's 33. You're right. 36.
36. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's just kind of sad to think that these people that we still watch multiple times a year, if you're me or
me,
I consider them friends almost. Friends on the screen, people that I really love, and it's sad to think that they are not around anymore. Anyways,
so the beauty about a film like this, not to do the play on words, but do the play on words, is they're forever young on the screen and they can be rewatched, and it kind of captures that youth or where they were at the time, which is such a beautiful thing about cinema.
Yep. So our final clip, this is Jason Newlander and sorry, I'm getting it wrong. Jamison Newlander and Jason Patric. Their names are too close. You know me. When names are too close, in our screenwriting group, if there's names that are too close, I'm always like, you got to change those names or I'm going to get them all mixed up. But Jamison talks about a fight he got in with Corey, and then Jason Patric does a really cool job of talking about how iconic Lost Boys is, the iconic people who are involved with this. So here's how we are going to close out our Lost Boy panel from Midsummer Scream, and it's a really cool short little clip here.
To a fight. I mean, the reason we didn't is because I just was too chicken to just clock him. Because he was just being really, like, I love Corey, and at the time, in that moment, it was late in the shooting, and he was just being really annoying, like purposely annoying, to try to annoy me. And I was like, I almost clocked him, but I didn't, because that would have been bad. I didn't. It would have been all
right. I will say one other thing though, that because Billy's being humble and these guys are as well, and obviously you're all here because you love horror and you obviously love this movie, but I'm in the movie and I have a few scenes and all that kind of stuff, and I got some dialogue, but Billy and Brooke and Alex and these guys and even Feldman, those guys, and you're big fans, they are horror icons now. I mean, these are icons that, you know, their shirts are, and there's little dolls and all that kind of stuff. It's not easy to do that with not having much dialogue and just hanging out. It's an incredible testament to what you guys did, your connection with Jewel, and, you know, little kids dress up like the Frog Brothers. So that wasn't on the page. None of that was on the page. These guys created these little characters that are now these iconic characters, and they are. They're very similar to the Tin Man or the Lionel. They're these little things that will last and people pass down. So that's for those guys, for real. Yeah.
I thought that was a great way. I thought that was a great way to end the panel. I think the Hounds of Hell. You know, it's one of the parts of the. I hear you've got one of the Hounds of Hell in there with you, Brian.
I think 2 Hounds of Hell.
2 Hounds of Hell.
I know.
By the sound of it.
If the Hound of Hell wants to come over and say hello, he's more than welcome. Hey guys, this has been an awesome time talking about the Lost Boys. It's one of my top 5 films of all time, of any genre, any category. It's in your top 10. Yeah. I just think it's tight. Like as a screenwriter, you start noticing how films of, 40, 50 years ago, they have a different kind of cadence and they're not quite as like tight as what you want them to be. Although I would say The Wizard of Oz, every single scene in The Wizard of Oz contributes to the outcome. It's a great movie, but because they were talking about The Wizard of Oz right here at the end and how each of the characters has become iconic. And it was cool to hear Jason talking about how that everything here is going to be iconic. Okay, Jim is a jerk. He hit me. Jim has good. Okay, anyways, so
that's just the personal chat. That's not what you people are saying.
I'm reading the personal chat, and Brian and Cheeseman are just laying into me. Anyways, guys, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, before we go, I just wanted to add I got to work an event, and Alex Winter, who plays Marco, who's one of the Lost Boys, was there. So was Keanu Reeves. So we had Bill and Ted. I kind of fanboyed over seeing them both. And I got to be Edgar Frog for Halloween, like same year I saw the movie. So
no, we did. Oh, Brian, man, you should. Okay, Brian, you need to send us a picture of you as Edgar Frog. We'll post it. Okay, dig it up. We'll post it with this when it goes up. All right, that's very cool. Cheeseman, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Just Lost Boy gets better with age, and I don't think we showed the good pictures of the people dressed up in cosplay.
Look at that! Look at that cosplay. That's right. We didn't show these pictures yet. That's me at Midsummer Scream right after this panel. Check out the makeup on these guys, and check out the guy playing David has that bottle, the wine bottle of blood. And Cheeseman, there's one of you as well, right?
There is, but it's the same thing.
That's cool. Same guys. Those guys were killing it. That was a good. If you guys haven't had a chance to go to Midsummer Scream, it happens for those of you who watch our show, the Scare Guy, thescareguy.com is the spookier side of theconguy.com. And the Con Guy, we went down to Comic-Con, and as soon as Comic-Con's over, we get back, we rest for a minute, and then it's on to Midsummer Scream, which kicks off the Halloween season. And so we were so excited to be there. And I can tell you, like Midsummer Scream, you guys knocked it out of the ballpark this year with the Lost Boys panel. My name is Jim. You can always find me on theconguy.com and thescareguy.com. You can also find me at The Scare Guy, my personal Instagram, James D. Fry. Follow me there. Cheeseman, where can we find you? Wait. Let's go with Brian, and then Cheeseman, you take us out.
So yeah, I can be found at the Brian Beneventi on Instagram, and that's the only one I got.
Can you spell your own name? Sometimes I know you struggle with that.
I do. I added a little extra letters today. It's hard to spell, but it is Brian Beneventi is spelled B as in boy, ENEV as in. See, I can't even spell it right now. BENEVENTI.
Brian Beneventi. I love saying his name. Beneventi. Yeah, I sound like I should be eating spaghetti. Beneventi.
You got to.
Yeah. Brian, thank you for joining us today. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to have you back, man.
And I just want to say one last final thing about Midsummer Scream and just other conventions like that. Always look for the smaller panel that may be like the most awesome thing you've seen. Because I mean, seeing that panel was like would have been like one of my favorite panels at like a Comic-Con or one of these other places. But sometimes at these smaller ones, you do get these specialized panels to like a fandom you really love. Like I had the same thing happen with T2. So always be looking out for the little ones. It's a lot easier to have access to the actors and get your signing. I did have Jason Patric sign something for me as well while I was there. So I
you did?
sign thing. Yeah, I should have shown that. I totally forgot about that till now. But check out the smaller conventions and yeah, keep watching our show. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cheese on Couch and keep following The Scared Guy.
All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
And what's the slogan, Jim? Say the slogan to Lost Boys.
Oh, the slogan of the Lost Boys? Wait. Yeah, we can't go without this. Sleep all day, party all night. Never grow old, never die. It is fun to be a vampire. Now I know why I am aching in my old age. Bye, guys.
Yeah.